Welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. As we were concluding in our previous episode, the lovers, the 5D mystics, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people who are welcoming, anchoring in their ventral energy, so they don't do the let me, stay hyper vigilant. They like to integrate, okay? We get to face change as self agents. So we are welcoming of change because our emotional and mental planes are ours. So when presented with any type of challenge, we see it as that opportunity to continue building and enhancing our mental and emotional awareness and resiliency skills, because you have the mindset skills to handle what comes up. The mindset, the inner growth mindset. So mindset is everything. Your mind is not broken. You don't need fixing, nor is your body. The system of your body is not broken. So you have a optimized system. It's always returning home to its true self. For those who don't know, I'm attachment trauma educated. And so the restorative embodiment is your true self, the whole self. You own the sense of self, okay? And that's why we look forward to the opportunity. Now, even when you don't know, as an empowered feminine, when I was at the complete unknown of attachment trauma education, that was a moment where I was really frustrated. I only had 4D stories with that whole twin flame stuff and oversouls, and they continued with a lot of mantles. But I was able at a certain point to get a hold of lovely Bezel Vanderkolk, and that's when everything became clear. And I was like, okay, now I know what the fuck is going on. And then it went forward, my emotional and physical mastery, for some more time. And as I'm here today, I can tell you this storm. I knew at one point that I would look back and say, wow, okay, I got to completely master all of me. And so when I was back into my true self again, I said, finally, I'm back to me again. That's how it feels when you're a person who's also mystic, who has a relationship with the sphere of consciousness in a way of, I'm embodying pure love. Okay, so those who then will instead embody something different, maybe they'll use science's words. I think they will continue to use more of the word just self-agency and, again, restorative embodiment. So I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. So being yourself is what we get to do and talk about. I get to. So we love to lead life and our relationships in our flow state, being anchored in our ventral energy. That's because of the integration of the brain stuff. You live the infinite higher human consciousness potential, and it is an invigorating experience. So this is not something we are going to drag around or whine about or think that you cannot consistently love. No, we're consistent lovers. Life and relationships, they do not get old, boring, or stagnating, because we are not stagnating. Okay, so there's enthusiasm when facing emotions, because once you're a master of all those basic human emotions, you're a master also of your nervous system. That's the securely attached, non-traumatized person, which is why it's not boring at all to have divine counterparts. Empowered counterparts are people who are invigorated by the day because they work with themselves, and that's with enthusiasm, excitement, and eustress. Okay, so your mind is a brain that is integrated, your child parts are all yours, and you're a grown-up version, the higher self. And so when dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds, unwanteds, and anything that comes our way, are we using eustress? I got to download the information from lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, and I can tell you it feels really good. So I can deal with any of the panic attacks, fear stuff that goes on in a way that it'll be noticeable that I'm at ease. And again, you will notice it too when you're doing mindfulness practices consistently with your own mindset skills. So it means you can sift sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And you don't justify any bad behaviors. No, you find a way to forgive, to stay on track with a good compass, and to know your fate is God or age, whenever you'll die, but the rest is your destiny. So you do dharma, not karma. Okay, so nobody has to end up with anything or anyone. And we live, love, laugh, learn, and don't cast stones or stay in a limited consciousness mindset and or any of those mindsets that actually treat your embodied life like a robot or ancient news. When I hear people thinking that the polyamory community doesn't know love, I know that they don't know the polyamory community. They also don't know that securely attached people know love. Because it's not about polyamory or monoamory. It's that if I'm a securely attached, functional inner child adult, I know how to talk to my counterparts and or counterpart. And see, that's the part of where what's a counterpart? Well, we can get into in-depth details about this. The part about what is clear for anyone is you have a person that you will decide to build with. And that's why it doesn't get confusing whether you're polyamory or monoamory. It doesn't get confusing to have authentic relationships building, because people who are functional inner child adults always talk to each other with authenticity and transparency. It's not something you're afraid of. You don't fear losing people because you love, accept, and respect each other just the way you are. And so facing change as self-agents consistently is invigorating. It is something that you're going to be harmonizing, and that's, if you want, you keep coming back here so you get to be our true selves mindfully. And we're flawed, and then we also have integrity. And so we have those shields are dropped, and the confidence that comes from a true lover. Those of us who chit chat with ourselves for real, we have the future thinking, the I am presence, and the Merkaba. And so empowered feminines, the one painful thing is not about starting something new. It's about seeing masculines fail because they have a hard time committing to themselves and to their own health and to anchoring in their ventral vagal state. And it's not men, it's anyone that is only using the left, because they are not using left and right with a downregulated default mode network that says, hey, so I'm Maria, and yes, basically having a really good conversation with yourself whenever anything gets difficult. And I do it that way because there's no difficult. If I'm physically safe, my mind and my emotions and thoughts are easy to work with. That's why I'm a mindfulness practitioner. That's why mindset is everything. The inner growth mindset, that's why the mindset skills, I try consistently to tell you what I bring and who I am talking to as a person who says, I share with you my experience as an infinite higher human consciousness potential person. I'm a mystic, I'm spiritual, and I'm mindful. You don't have to believe in any of it because any of my cherishable beliefs are falsifiable, but I know what I'm talking about. And I know who I'm here for, and I know who I want to build a community with, because it's a community of inspiring human potential. You will lead yourself to be a leader of any way, shape, or form. You better bet I ain't gonna give people half shit, meaning I know what anyone's capable of, because if I was able to do it, you can do it too. There's plenty who don't want to do it. You want me to have only one emotion? No, I don't, but you can keep on thinking it that way. When I get a teenager in the room, when you hear me talk about 0-8-year-olds, teenagers, I don't argue with them. I have an ego too. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I accept, respect, and love you just the way you are. I'm going to notice that you're not going to have what it takes. The masculine doesn't have what it takes. None of them do. It's not about men or women or theys. A human being who doesn't have their well-being and their intelligence and their self in the forefront will not have what it takes. They don't have clarity. They don't have confidence. They have that they're watching their back every second. And then their mind creates stories, and their distress eats away at their body because their modulated and dysregulated embodiment is why they're tiring themselves out. I have all the data that I need, that I've learned, and I can see to this day 3D, 4D, my brothers and sisters of fear are not going anywhere. They're just not Lucifer, because a monster that I thought existed way back when I was 19, I said, I don't see Lucifer, I see cowards. And when cowards give up on themselves, I don't have something to do with it because I can't. I was talked sense when I was a kid. I said, you know, you tell us what to do, but you don't ever do what we tell you to do. You know what? You're right. I'm so sorry. I've been a hypocrite. Thank you so much for pointing it out. And from that day forth, you want to do whatever you want to do it. I'm not, God taught me how not to play know-it-all. And the attachment trauma educators also told me that, yeah, you can talk to biologically rude people all day long. Adaptive child part people make up bullshit in their head while you're talking to them. And then they make up other lies to themselves. And then they continue to pretend to be badass. And you just know they're not. And again, like my facade friend who's become more sensitive by the day as he's gotten older, so do these other people who don't grow because they don't go to someone like Terry or Patrick Chan to learn to love themselves first and then bring their A game. Leaders that will be leaders of love will say you can do it too, to become your ventral vagal state, to move into the integrated brain. And it takes time, yes, but you can do it. You can harness that which your embodied brain is already leading you to, which, by the way, thank you, Jesus, as he shares the kingdom of God is within you. So people who don't want to believe in modern day therapists and mental health and neuroscience, there's people who tell the woo-woo pseudoscience lady, neuroscience, everyone has something to believe in, seriously. Facing change as a self-agent, I will tell you, it is some of the... I have so many funny stories when we have our retreats and workshops, when we have our tears with the mystics. What I can also tell you, it's very frustrating to meet fakos, copycats, just anyone who's basically insulting my brothers and sisters of fear. So while I get irritated with human suffering, because again, God keeps chiming in, reminding me not to judge it. Oh, fucking waste of my time. Buddha makes fun of me because he's like, haha, you know what it's for. And I say, sure, Buddha. Yes, no, I know what it's for, Buddha. But my point is that this to me, as I've shared with empowered feminines and masculine, what is it? Nothing. I love emotions. Why wouldn't I? I'm a woman. Don't you know stereotypes? So when somebody doesn't love emotions, and there's a Zen master out there who talks about laundry, I know what they're talking to me about, and I'm thinking immediately, hey, Dr. Daniel Fox, hey, Dr. Daniel Siegel, hey, Bezel van der Kolk, hey, Pat Ogden, hey, Janina Fisher, hey, Bethany Brand, Ruth Lanius, hey, Patrick Chan. I already have however many names I listed that Zen master could completely go to. Might take you 20 years, Zen master. I don't know, but all I know is your window of tolerance to affect needs expansion. Also, your energy body expands. I learned that from another smart woman. I don't remember her name, but apparently you might need her too, because you don't seem to know, and you're a Zen master, how mental, emotional, and physical plane works. You're not mastering anything. You don't know how to use your own nervous system. It's an embodied brain. So there you go. I never in a million years, quote unquote, I'm exaggerating, would have thought that Maria knows how to be herself. Simply put, thank you, C and Porteous, my embodied brain. But now that I do know, again, you can do it too. So masculines failing miserably, they don't fail miserably. They don't even try. And they don't try because when they will have not succeeded the first time around, then they just make up some bullshit excuse of saying, I won't be able to do it. Yes, you can. It's a muscle, your nervous system, and so are you, made of habits. So you giving up is a bullshit. You just tell yourself you don't want to do it. And accept defeat at that point and just say, but that's the part. It's just, you can bring forth any type of transformation and change that you want if you own yourself. And you're a self-agent who has compassion, and you understand what maladaptive patterns are, and you understand what bad habits are. I'm lucky because I got taught good habits, and I was a teenager who said, I'm not copying any of you. I learned. I was stupid too. I'm not wasting my life away. And so I'm not laughing because it's funny, but as an 11, 12, 13-year-old, I learned all about cowards, backstabbers, the stupid shit that teenagers do. And then I saw them grow up. Today, I'm a grown-up who sees grown-ups being stupid, and they could completely heal. And when it isn't enough to be saluted is a stupid one. They can heal this shit. I don't have anything to do with your insecurity. So the part about being a self-agent and facing change, again, I can bring forth whatever transformation I want, however I will want to, and I don't need you to pat me on the back because I'm a self-agent who deals with unknowns, uncertainties, unwanteds, unexpecteds, and anything that comes my way. Sticks and stones may break my bones. It's not a rock falling on me. Words don't harm me. Life, God isn't punishing me. I'm doing life with a lot of happiness. There you go. When somebody is gonna notice that they have a problem, I have this person who was talking to me about this thing they're trying to nip. So they're not doing life well. They're using some agents, others just vehicling they're directing in not a healthy way their anger. Okay, so they've noticed a maladaptive pattern of behavior, a maladaptive pattern, the drinking, the drugging, potentially the fucking, okay, the driving and getting angry. That's all projection, and their body is starting to say this is unnecessary. So is their mind. So they know this is something not positive. You don't have a problem, but you do want to notice if you're able to do what you're telling yourself you want to do. And if you're not, then yes, then you have what is a wanting of somebody who can support you to get over the hump. The relationship to the substance, the relationship to what's happening, what's the trigger about. And the only person who can make sure you get over the hump, little choo-choo train, that's you, not me. So I'm going to tell you, I have no issue with any of it, but I love Maria to death. So I won't be harming her by doing maladaptive patterns of behavior. Also, I stopped venting on my own because people, you can't do it, you're human. Yeah, I can do it. I am human. That's exactly the point. So not being able to master one's own emotions is a choice by people. Not being able to master how you utilize drinking, eating, watching TV, and that's you. I know that any person who wants can, with their mindset, bring it forth. Your mind is not broken, yourself and your body's not broken. If there's a need to recalibrate, it's because you have unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms which involve hypervigilance and involve doing things that are not your health. So it's very straightforward. And if you have a challenge, that's what the good therapists are for. But you will still be the only one who can commit to it. So when I see people having to go to extremes and then they become complete judgmental of it, I just think that's a not expanded person. So when I stopped smoking, I didn't become one of those smokers that get away from me. No. And the only reason I stopped was because I was put in the situation, but also I was trying to get to the number that I felt was the perfect number. Now, there are people who will, from the external, always chime in on what and who and da-da-da. That's how our herd is made. So we get to welcome how people like to dress us up. In the meantime, we all share our own stories. The point is, you will know what you have and your relationship. So accept, respect, and love all equally. When someone has once told me way back when, enabler, I said, excuse me? Enabler. And they were talking in a very specific way. So I don't actually do anything with martyrs and superiors or blamers. They're all codependent human beings. And I'll just allow myself to leave it alone because I don't correct insecure behavior. That's for therapists to do if the person realizes that they are emotionally, mentally, and physically insecure with a charge. That I don't need to hear because it ain't my business what you have a charge on. And what I mean is it's when you bring me something with neutrality that you're sharing it. When you're bringing it to me like a teenager and you're telling it to me, I got an adaptive child part. It's not a losing strategy, but you just came in with I'm right, you're wrong. I know everything, you don't. And I'm going to bring you down my breadcrumb trails and I want you to say yes. And if you don't, I'm going to be pissed at you for it. And that is the minute that my 3-year-old just sits still. If you can't say something nice, say nothing. Looks at them with the ventral vagal state. And since I've had practice with teenagers, I will not do anything. And if they will say, but you're not taking my side, I will say, well, I have a different opinion than you. And so my cherishable beliefs, though, could be falsifiable. Therefore, I'm not right or wrong. I just have a different opinion than you. So I'll agree to disagree. Then that's where people don't like those of us who do this. Because, again, when you're a self-agent, you're able to face change, unknowns, unwanteds, uncertainties, unexpecteds. When I've been shared things and talked in certain ways, I will have consistently reminded myself, remember who you are, because what you are getting is what you also bring. And it wasn't in a way of bad Maria. No, if I stand in my ventral vagal state with confidence, I will also gain and attract to me the same type of people. And I have no beef with self-agents. When I have pretenders, I will know it, but that's when I will allow myself to remember what a pretender is. It's a person who needs Patrick Tian or Thierry Real to become an actual confident, functional child adult. So I don't have a person that's a grown-up. I have a 0-8-year-old in front of me. And they need to get it off their chest so that the 16-year-old feels that like they're a badass. They continue lying to themselves and brushing their ego as if they've done some amazing work. And I leave with my expanded consciousness intact and not having to have wasted my breath with what is a masculine who doesn't have what it takes to get anywhere, because as that rabbi points out, they have a hard time to commit. And it's not just men, because the women who are also distorted, feminines and masculines and all that, they all have a hard time to commit because they're looking for roller coaster buddies. So they're looking for drama and saga, and they're actively continuing what is a low frequency of relationships from the modulated and dysregulated embodiment. So they're not fierce lovers. with Terry Real, they can become it. But what I was trying to get to is those who don't know how to handle what they want to bring forth have opportunity to. If they're deciding to give up on themselves, they're just going to make up an excuse. So I'm not going to be bothered with trying to tell anybody something because you didn't even weather the storm. You just, pretended, and then you're going to look to the past and with regret and sorrow and all that. And, I'm not going to cry you a pity party because that's just disrespectful. It isn't enough to be saluted. That's apparently what people think happens to people as they get older. I know a bunch of invigorated, energized people who don't do that. And so when I meet people who are willing to bring forth something, what I say is, as a mentor, content creator, and podcast host who does personal development, chit-chat, self-help, who shares with others spiritual growth, what I can tell you, XYZDEFG. You will be able to make it, little choo-choo train. You will be able to commit to it like I did with cigarettes. So I don't go and smoke again because I know my relationship to cigarettes. But I have tobacco. Yes, I have cigars. And then I have moderation because I know what my health is. And even when my lovely primary caregiver is consistently, as I'm a grown woman, telling me things, we'll get into arguments, but I will always be appreciative of it, even if it's annoying, quote unquote, because that's what you do when you're a herd. Like Sid tells Manny and Diego, you are on each other's ass about things because you care, but the reality is, if you're a healthy self-worth man, woman, they, you will also know what it takes and you'll do it. So you have 2 hands and 2 feet. You walk a walk, you talk a talk. We don't surrender to the universe waiting for the universe to give us a hand. We get to give ourselves a hand together with curiosity. I love, respect, accept you. I don't actually make my love and your love bondage. No, our love is freedom. I will love you no matter what. And I don't need to reprimand you. You're not my child. At the end of the day, the power of community is that we walk a walk and talk a talk together. And those who will stagnate, they will not be around authentic human beings because we're annoying. We're annoying and we're boring, the healthy self-worth people. And that's because of our ventral energy, and also because we speak truth. Because neutrality and duality is truth. Moderation is truth. So when people don't know how to bring forth their A game, they won't hang out with A game people. And they will, in fact, talk about A-game people as not A-game. And what I love about our split, there's 5D and then there's 3D, 4D. And really, it's not that I love it. I really wish all of those would move on over. But again, there's 8 billion people and not all want to be securely attached, non-traumatized, and integrated. Also determined. Robert Sapolsky would say they have no free will. So some people say they cannot physically be. I don't say they cannot physically be. I say that any of my cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. In the meantime, at IHP, there will only be the infinite higher human consciousness potential people because that's where I'm at. So if you're not like-minded with similar capacity, you won't want to be here. That's why these don't mean anything to me, because this is not what I'm looking for when I'm building a community. I'm not in school. I'm not looking to be graded. I'm on social media. I'm a professional. I mean, and even on my own social pages, if somebody's liking or not liking, again, I was a teenager when I recognized, yeah, my peers, they don't know shit. Meaning I'm not learning from you because you're all in, not you, but the point is I learn from those who walk a walk and talk a talk, the choo-choo train that made it over the hump. Those who have integrity, and those who are self-agents, and those who have honesty, and those who have humility, and those who know life is hard, but they know it's also easy because you choose from within your body how to use stress. I'm, again, a mindfulness practitioner with mindset skills and an inner growth mindset. I only have used stress inside my body, and I'm the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. I'm here with that. And sharing part of my journey and different all of it. But the point is, the outcome is that you are an integrated brain if you want self-help, personal development. You don't have to want it, by the way. Being yourself, you don't have to want it. And then everything else, we're just chit-chatting. But the people who go on their channels and ask their community to tell them what to talk about, I mean, they're asking in ways that I wonder. And at the same time, I don't, because I know what people who are adaptive child part people do together. And so I'm going to just leave that alone. What I appreciate is when I get constructive criticism, which is where the lovely naysayer, I thank him so much because he gave me a good episode and he gave me good practice, and I know how to say I am the lovely woo-woo pseudoscience lady, because it is self-help. It's not bullshit. It is pseudoscience. It's not crap. It's a part of what we do here when I bring spirituality and human elements, and I'm grounded in reality, knowing how to tell you being you is pretty straightforward with those who know mindset is everything. Your body is leading you home to your true self. And if there's a struggle with any of that, there's good mental health professionals who are healing anyone and helping anybody on a journey. And there's that. So your inner and outer well-being, it's accessible through all of those who are of our 5D collective. The 4D, 3D are holding the fort for those who will not be in the capacity for one. I don't know. Again, Robert Sapolsky determined, says we have no free will. So he's basing it on their first 3 years of life are an indication of what's going to build. I raise my hands and I stay away from it because I've accepted already as love defeat, which is that Maria as an empowered feminine will not be able to tell a masculine, you've got what it takes, and know that that masculine will become an empowered masculine. I will say you've got what it takes. It's if the empowered masculine actually becomes empowered, believes in their own self, like the empowered feminine, not with a teenager attitude, no. With their 0-1-year-old and their 3 to 7-year-old, and that's not by being codependent on yesterday's news, but by being a functional inner child adult, and so being able to say, I'm imperfect, I'm flawed, I have potentially maladaptive patterns. I do know what it takes to get into good habits. I know how to work with Maria, and I know when I'm sloppy. But I also know how much wiggle room I can give myself and stuff like that. So this is where it's consistently, in our 12-month, we will consistently be nudged in different ways by life, because life always wants you to be balanced. And if you're an empowered feminine or an empowered masculine, you'll know it. So you won't waste that much time doing imbalances because, you know, we have not that much time to spend on earth. So facing change is fun. And once you've gotten over that first hump, it keeps getting more fun because now you have all those basic emotions not charged. So that takes some of that time. Again, we'll be back with more. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.